for joining us. We once again move on, continuing with the Middle East. Israel's defense minister has announced its military will soon vigorously expand its offensive throughout the most of Gaza. Israel's military also issued evacuation orders for Khan Yunis and its surrounding areas, saying it was preparing to carry out airstrikes in response to the launch of projectiles from Gaza, which Hamas has claimed responsibility for. Israel resumed its strikes against Hamas on the 18th of March following the collapse of a 2-month ceasefire. Since then, it has seized large areas of Gaza, displacing hundreds of thousands of Gazans once more. The military has already seized land running along the entirety of the Palestinian territory's borders, which it has characterized as a buffer zone to prevent attacks. Israeli officials have said the ongoing strikes aims to pressure Hamas into freeing the 59 remaining hostages still held in Gaza, 24 of whom are believed to still be alive. Meanwhile, in Gaza, the Hamas-run health ministry said on Saturday that 21 people had been killed in the previous 24 hours and a further 64 have been injured. We are joined by Reuben Johnson, foreign affairs expert, live from San Francisco to discuss this further. Reuben, thank you very much for joining us. What do you make of this announcement that this Israeli offensive is going to expand in the Gaza Strip, further evacuation orders, further, some would say, displacement of Palestinian citizens?
First of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for the question. You have to understand there's an awful lot of domestic politics involved in what's happening in Israel. First of all, tonight is the beginning of the famous, or one of the most important Jewish holidays, Pesach, or Passover, began tonight, and that's a central point in most Jewish families' lives. You know, it's every time you have the Passover Seder, you say, when you say next year in Jerusalem. And of course, these 59 hostages still being held and are not reunited with their families. They've been held since October of 2023. So there's a huge push by the Netanyahu government to come to some sort of a resolution to get these remaining people free. Secondly, there is a difficulty in the Israeli economy right now. They've had these reservists. I mean, a large portion of the Israeli military are reservists. They're not full-time active duty soldiers, airmen, sailors. And they've been now fighting for more than a year and a half. And this is causing tremendous damage to the Israeli economy. So a lot of this is by these domestic political concerns and the Netanyahu government trying to survive and they're trying to prove that they can still provide a common defense for the country. Israel has all of this fantastic military technology, including some of the most advanced fighter aircraft that have ever been produced in the United States. But that's great if you're fighting an external threat like Iran or Syria or someone, but they're of less utility when it's an internal threat in a very small area like Gaza.
Reuben, what do you make of the fact that these Palestinians on Passover, as you say, are being displaced from their homes? Mass evacuation orders. This is a repeated action from the Israeli government. All while these 59 hostages, 24 are expected to be deceased, are still being held by Hamas in the Gaza Strip.
This has been the story of Gaza. I mean, ever since, well, first of all, ever since the October 7th, the October 2023 incursion into Israel from Gaza, that this has been a constant flow of people being displaced. And it's always a conflict between the one side, which says, well, these people are being, their homes are being bombed, or this is being bombed and they're being displaced. And on the Israeli side saying, well, yes, but the reason they're being bombed is because there are weapons being hidden in this building. There are tunnels underneath this structure. This is where, and there's an awful lot of, if you believe some of the reports, there's an awful lot of hostility by the people in Gaza against Hamas, because they say, well, you guys kill a bunch of rockets, and then you scurry underground, and the Israelis come and bomb us because we're on top. So it's a horrendous how you get out of this. There's going to have to be some sort of an international effort to try to resolve this crisis. But on the other hand, Gaza has been this way now for more than 30 years, even before that. But it's always been an untenable mess, and it's no coincidence that it was the one part of Israel that, when the Palestinian Authority was created, the Israeli army was happy to leave behind. They wanted nothing to do with Gaza. Incidentally, neither do the Egyptians, which Gaza borders on Egypt. Yes. They don't want anything to do with it either.
Reuben Johnson, thank you very much for joining us. Very insightful